welcome back to Kirkstone. It's a wonderfully sunny day. As I film this, it's early April, and today we're going to start a longish but not very long series revolving around the genus Echeveria. Good morning and welcome back to Kirkstone. I don't know what time of year you're watching this video, but I'll be watching it now. It's early December, in fact it's the 4th of December, and it's exactly 0 degrees centigrade outside, and it's not much warmer in the greenhouse. So I shall not be tarrying. I shall be moving through this with a modicum of both efficiency and grace. I have no idea what it is because I've misplaced the label, so this will be as much of a surprise to me as it is to you. But let us see what we have in this box. Well, we have a number of packages in this box, which I shall now try and identify which are actual plants and which are merely bits of packing. And I think I may be able to do that relatively easily. So I think we have got 4 packages. 5 packages. That's definitely packing. That's definitely packing. And that's definitely packing. So 5 packages to examine. So let us do exactly that, and we'll do them in reverse order of size, I think, because there's got to be a system, and that's the best one I can think of right now. Okie dokie. So this first one is the 3rd of our little Forcaria. Okay, so we have 2 Forcaria in the collection, and this is the 3rd, and this one has just flowered, as you can see, and this lovely little plant is Forcaria Britanniae, and there's one more bud just about to open there. Forcaria Britanniae. So I shall put that there with its label. The next biggest is this one, and this one, ooh, that's nice. That's very nice indeed. Okay, it's obviously been growing in quite a small pot, and the label has become detached, but this one doesn't have a label, so by process of elimination, the plant without a label and the label without a plant are likely to go together. And I don't know if you can read this, but this is the very first Echeveria in our collection. The first one we've bought as part of the overall deliberate Echeveria expansion program. And this gorgeous dark-skinned plant is Echeveria affinis. Affinis. And isn't that fabulous? Dark purple on the outside and super dark green on the inside. That is a great plant. Really, really like that. Okay, so put that with its label, Echeveria affinis. Okay, the next biggest packet is an Echeveria relative, which we're also pursuing, and this is a Pachyphytum. Okay, the so-called thick plant. Lovely name, isn't it? Well, this is Pachyphytum bracteosum. It's got the typical thick, fleshy Pachyphytum leaves, and you can see it's already branching from below. Pachyphytum bracteosum, and that is the 2nd Pachyphytum in the collection, but like the Echeveria, the first of our deliberate Pachyphytum collection that we're building up. So we're looking at Echeveria, we're looking at Pachyphytum, we're looking at Orostachys, we're looking at some of the hybrids like Pachyphytum and Echeveria, the intergeneric hybrid group. And basically we're doing a very deliberate attempt to add a few members of the Crassulaceae which aren't represented. We've got a good collection of dwarf crassulas now, and we've got a good collection of Adromiscus from South Africa. Whoa, look at that! Now that's a doozy woozy. That's a really big and spectacular plant. That's almost aloe sized, isn't it? I'm probably, to the Echeveria specialists amongst you, I'm probably displaying my ignorance now, because I really don't know a massive amount about what sizes these plants get to. And this lovely plant, this very fresh green and fleshy leaf plant, is Echeveria mexicana, the Mexican Echeveria, which obviously most of them are. The other genus which I neglected to mention there in my flying introductory overview was Dudleya. And we don't have any Dudleyas now, but it is a plant that I'm actively looking for. And finally, look at that. That is, well, a shock. That is a great plant. Let me just lift that up to show you what we have. Now that is a particular cultivar of Echeveria shaviana called Curly Pearl, and that is absolutely superb. Look at that. Echeveria Curly Pearl. So that is already a fabulous centerpiece for our little Echeveria collection. So we have 3 today, plus one Echeveria relative, which is this Pachyphytum bracteosum. Let me just lift that up to show you. And then that Mesembryanthemum, that third fork area. As I say, I really am concentrating on these Echeverias and other Crassula family relatives now. Okay, so I'll take a break there, and obviously what I'll do now is I'll put these gorgeous plants up, and I'll be back to you ASAP. Bye for now. Echeveria and I have had a checkered history. It was not a genus that I was particularly interested in. I've always been more interested in the Liliaceae, in aloes, haworthias, gasterias, and that kind of South African grouping. And I think my prejudice against Echeverias really came from the fact that I perceived them as being very common. I saw them planted out in municipal parks, in mass plantings, and in sale in garages, forecourts and supermarkets. So I kind of ignored them, and then recently, about 1.5 years ago, I became quite interested in the genus Adromiscus, which is a South African member of the family Crassulaceae. And that interest in Adromiscus extended towards a more general interest in South African crassulas, and then by extension the American representatives of the Crassula family. The large overarching grouping including Echeverias, Dudleyas, Graptopetalum, Tacitus also included in Graptopetalum, Echeveria, some smaller growing sedums, and that general rosetti-form mix. So Echeverias are native to northern Central America, Mexico and the southwestern United States. So quite a broad geographical span, much wider than, for example, haworthias in South Africa. But with haworthias, Echeverias share a number of similarities, and in many ways there are convergent examples of individuals where the Echeverias in America or in the Americas have taken the ecological niches that members of the Liliaceae have taken in Africa. So for example, we have hairy Echeverias, like this Echeveria bombacina, and then we have hairy Haworthias, like this Haworthia venosta. They grow to about the same size, about 3.5 inches. They grow to about the same height above the ground, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. They are, to all intents and purposes, playing the same role. Now, Echeverias form part of a much wider Crassula group, including the close relatives that I've just mentioned, including Pachyphytum, Dudleya, and that ilk of similar Echeveria plants, and I'll come back to that point very, very soon. They also, of course, take a botanical relationship to a much wider geographical form, with the inclusion of Madagascan, African and Asian plants like Kalanchoe, like this Kalanchoe tomentosa, and with several other similar groups in other parts of the world, like the Ionium and Granovias from the Canary Islands, like this Granovia deotrentalis, which is now Ionium deotrentalis. So there are many, many widespread representatives of the Crassula family, but for the purposes of this first series of videos, we will be looking at the Echeverias in the purest sense. But very briefly, because we will be coming back to these points later on, there is something problematical about the definition of the word Echeveria in terms of botany. Because with the advent of genetic research and scanning electron microscopes and men in white coats making decisions about the names of plants, Echeveria has been designated a polyphyletic group. What? The genus Echeveria has been designated a polyphyletic group, which means that there is no common ancestor to Echeveria. So what? So what, says you? Okay, let's wind back very, very quickly. My name is Arthur Dixon. Now just imagine my name was Dixon Arthur. Dixon would be the genus name, Arthur would be the species name. And theoretically, if you checked all the Dixon's ancestry back in time, there would be one person called Dixon, or one relationship called Dixon, from whom all the Dixons were descended. Yeah? Make sense? Ish, kind of? Right. In Echeveria, there is no common ancestor. There are probably about 4 or 5 different genetic strains within what we understand to be the overarching Echeveria grouping. And within that there is a group of Echeverias which are actually quite close to Pachyphytum. Well, for example, if we look at this lovely white thick-leaved Echeveria lowii, it looks quite similar to this lovely white thick-leaved Pachyphytum. And in fact, the Pachyphytum is much closer to about 9 or 10 species of Echeverias than those Echeverias are to other Echeverias. In the same way, there are some Echeverias which are very close in relationship to a genus called Sediveria. And within the Sediveria and that section of the Echeveria, they're very close, not surprisingly, to the genus Sedum. So at some point in time, the genus Echeveria will have to be split in exactly the same way as Haworthia was split into Tulista and into Haworthiopsis. Echeveria will have to be split into that group of Echeverias which are closest to Graptopetalum, that group of Echeverias which is closest to Dudleya, that group of Echeverias which is closest to Sedum, and that group of Echeverias which is closest to Pachyphytum. It's an artificial genus of plants which look very similar but are in fact not that closely related. So there we are. So in South Africa we have wonderful plants like Adromiscus, like this Adromiscus trigynus, and in other parts of the world we have other members of the Crassula family, but the dominant representative of the Crassulaceae in Central America, in Mexico and in the southwest of the United States is the genus Echeveria. Widespread, many species, but to rehash, that group will have to be subdivided. But it's a wonderful group. Let's just look at some of the convergence ideas here. So we've got this Echeveria hybrid Ava, which is green, light green, and the leaves have bristles all along the leaf margins. We also have a Haworthia, like this Haworthia blackbeardiana from Cathcart in South Africa, which is very light green and has bristles all down the leaf margins. You get my point? Echeverias and Haworthias are taking each other's role in the same way that agaves in America are the American aloes, aloes in Africa are the African agaves, euphorbias are the African cacti, Didieria and Alaudia are the Madagascan cacti. There are parallels between botanical groupings all around the world. But for now, this is a very brief introduction to a wonderful genus of Northern American succulent plants, the genus Echeveria. Now in each of the videos I'll be coming back to do further expansion of this, but that's a very quick, very broad introduction to the Echeveria plant habit. Low growing, succulent, small, offsetting, very attractive flowers. Native to, last time, Northern Central America, throughout Mexico and the southwestern United States. Great group, great plants. I hope you enjoy the series. Bye for now. Bye bye. There we are, 5 minutes later. 5 absolutely superb plants. I'll just skate over this Forcaria britanniae because it will be covered in much more depth in another video on various of our social media, but not particularly devoted to Echeverias or the Crassulaceae in general. So it's a lovely plant, but we're going to move swiftly on. And we've got this very dark Echeveria affinis. I mean, it's those of you who've been watching my videos for a while, the videos that we make here at Kirkstone, will know that I have an absolute fascination for convergent evolution, how plants from completely different biological groups, taxonomically distinct and separate, and often geographically very distinct as well, can look almost exactly the same. They've come to converge because the ecological conditions in which they grow are identical. Therefore the plants have evolved to fulfill an identical function, even if they're not related. So a dicotyledon like an Ariocarpus, like Ariocarpus Scapharostrus or Retusus longituberosus, or indeed Trigonus, will look amazingly like this plant, which also looks morphologically amazingly like both Haworthia, Haworthiopsis limifolia umboensis, and also like Tulistas, various of the tubercle-less Tulistas, the plain ones like marginata. So that's an amazingly coloured plant with a purple on the outside. Though it's a bit dusty now, it needs a good clean. A dark purple on the outside, and that very dark green in the centre. So that's Echeveria affinis. And then I should have gone here first really and kept the Echeverias together. So this is a typical thick-leaved Pachyphytum. Okay, so this particular one is Pachyphytum bracteosum. And then we had that large and very impressive Echeveria mexicana. Very, very nice plant indeed. And then the pièce de résistance, that particular cultivar of Echeveria shaviana, which has always been one of the most spectacular Echeverias, of course. And this is Echeveria curly pearl, and it really is an absolutely stunning plant. It's about 5.5 inches across, nice and flat, absolutely amazing. Love it to bits. Echeveria number 3, Echeveria number 2, Echeveria number 1, Pachyphytum number 1, and that lone stray member of the ficoid tribe of the Crassulaceae, Forcaria britanniae. Another lovely, lovely plant. Okay?